Hello there, you beautiful people. My name is Willow, and welcome back to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever for a 6v6 played on a map tailored for this game and this game only, and for your viewing pleasure. It is none other than the Neuroxis map generator. And without a further ado, let's get into player introductions, starting, of course, with Team 1 up here in the north and ending with Team 2 down here in the south. But before we get into these player introductions, I would like to ask you kindly to go down below and consider hitting that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that like button and consider leaving me a comment telling me about your favorite unit within the UEF faction. Now, let's get into player introductions, starting in the back with the Cyan Aeon. The man can do no wrong, as he has picked the best faction and the best color, and he is going first land by the name of Nord. What a huge Skyrim fan he is. As we move on to the southeast with the Gray UEF going first land, he has been cited so many times and used to fill out papers everywhere across the globe. It is none other than Lorem Ipsum. Then up to the northeast, we have ourselves a red UEF going first land, and his name is Cian or Cian Nune. It's Cian. We're gonna call him Nun though. And then down to the south of them, we have a hot pink UEF going first land by the name of Freffer. Then over to the southwest of him, we have a man who has the right idea about life. He's a maroon Aeon, so he's already making good choices, and his name is No More Work. Then over to the west of him, the last player for Team 1, a very striking shade of blue for him as he goes Cybran with that land factory already being built. It is none other than Irolone. Then last off, we have to finish off Team 2. That was just weird wording, but okay, we're gonna plow right through that as we look at the purple Cybran in the rear guard position for Team 2. It is none other than Issei going first land. Then over to the west of him, we have a yellow UEF with a striking name. It is none other than Bazazika, probably cursing in Russian, but we need to move on to the southwest for the orange Cybran going first land, and his name is Matches. Gonna burn your house down. As up to the north, we have a light purple Seraphim going first land. Bad choice, but it's okay, because he is a legend, and his name is Legend Lore 2. Then up to the north of him, we have ourselves a dark green Aeon. Another good choice coming out here, and he's here to ruin everybody and kill them all. He plays a lot of Plague Inc. His name is Mega Virus. And then over to the east, we have a blue UEF, and our last player, and let's end on a high note, because his name is Pez Duck, and he is here to face adversity and let it slide off his back like water off a duck. Then we can speed up the game, talk about the map, because it is a map 10, but we still want to give you an idea of what to expect. So, first off, reclaim 8,000 for these players to scoop up, and of course we need to talk about the terrain. There's not a lot of choke points, and there's a lot of open ground with a ton of mexes for these players to secure. Sure, you may see a couple of fire bases popping up here and there, but they're going to be largely mitigated by simply walking around them. So what we expect to see out of these players is large armies going toe-to-toe with each other and just smashing. We're gonna have, it's like when kids grab their action figures and smash them together. This is the 25 to 34-year-old version of that right now. So it's gonna be really fun, and it's going to be a banger. Let's go ahead and see how these players get on with smashing their action figures together. We have a lot of factories coming out, a lot of people doing a Hydro Rush. Hydro Rush is finishing earlier and later for some players getting out early, attacking units such as this Mantis coming out from Arrow Lone. And how are you all doing today? Are you having a good day? We're waiting for somebody to build a bomber or something, or do something spicy here, so I just want to hear from you. So go down in the comments, tell me how you're feeling, and while you're down there, if you aren't already, turn that subscribe button gray. And that is the last time I'll bring that up, at least for the next 10 minutes, as we have our first inkling of what these players are going to do. 3 players from Team 1 already leaving the safety of their bases. They're going out to explore the map and see what it has to offer and what fruits could be bore from them. Or for them, not from them. And of course, those 3 players are No More Work, Furfur, and None. On the other side, we have 4 players doing that very, very interesting thing. And actually, Lorem Ipsum's doing it himself, so I should give him credit. As we have, of course, the commanders of Matches, Legend Lore 2, Buzzaskia, and, of course, Pezduck showing up to strut their stuff and get out onto the map. So it does look like we're going to have a bit of a mismatch here. We have 3 commanders on this side of the map for Team 2, and we have 3 commanders on this side of the map for Team 1. So that could lead to some spicy moments. Not sure if it will, though. And we have double base kind of coming out for a couple of players here. Both Issei and Nord are taking this expansion respectively on each side, which gives them an extra 5 very protected mexes. They have to fight through multiple players to get to them, and that means that these 2 highest rated players in this game of 1800 and 1900 respectively are going to have very, very quick economic upgrades coming in, and it's going to be very cool to see what they're going to be able to do with that. They're both going to most likely go for T3 air very, very quickly. Would be very surprised if they did anything else, as that is the most effective tactic available, and they are high rated, so they play the meta. And of course, by the way, in case you didn't know that, that's, I believe, what meta stands for, most effective tactic available. Maybe not, now that Facebook has, like, taken over the word, but, you know, Mark Zuckerberg and messing with language. What better topic for a FAFcast? CN None gonna get out to this triple mechs expansion. Does have a bit of a mech marine infestation, but hey, he can clear that out and really bring this place some fresh life. He's gonna flip those 3 mexes for so much money on the real estate market. Meanwhile, down here we do have our another set of mech marines, this time out from, of course, Furfur. They're gonna die just like the mech marine up north, but hey, they did get to see some very important things. The enemy did decide to take the expansion right outside their base. Not always sure that's gonna happen. Sometimes players just don't do what you expect, but so far everything going to snuff here. We also have some more mech marines out for Furfur over here, just gonna keep on throwing them out there. We have a bomber out for Furfur, but I think it will be scouted relatively quickly if it's not already, and we have some interceptors kicking around for these players to throw at problems such as that. Meanwhile, down in the south, we have a very aggressive positioning coming out from No More Work. Needs to be a little bit careful, but I do like the spicy play. He's building a lot of land factories, and I think we're going to see a lot of land factories coming out of a lot of players here, because you're just going to have to go toe-to-toe and duke it out with some of these players, because there's not really a good opportunity to even just build walls to stop somebody coming through. I guess up here, you could build some walls and have them be successful, but if you build a wall like right here, one, you're kind of hurting yourself more than the enemy, and 2, it's going to take so long to build. It's not very effective. Speed and range, the first upgrade I've seen, and I think the first of the game. Nope, T2 was started up by Furfur, but speed and range quickly followed behind by Legend Lore 2. Damage and range now on the way for Pezduck. T2 did not finish up yet for Furfur. He's still working on it. And that T1 bomber still hasn't managed to get anything. A bit of an air scuffle going on. Unfortunately for the air units of Furfur, he's going to win the fight, but then he's going to be sitting on top of a bunch of mobile AA, so eventually he's going to lose the fight. And that T1 bomber up here going to be used to try and help provide some base defense here. Not a bad call coming out from CN None. And over here to the middle of the map, Lorem Ipsum in a little bit of trouble as Issei and Megavirus show up. A factory block comes out. Matches down here to the south dies. There's just apparently fighting going on so much. I can't GG, not playing laggy BS. Okay, so he did not decide to play out the game. That was the Control K, not somebody actually getting killed. And Lorem Ipsum down to 1400 HP. He's trying to get some unit blocks coming in. He gets just enough to get outside of those commanders' range. Is there anything in the sky that could maybe spell his doom? It does not seem so. So Lorem Ipsum needs to just fall back and fall away because he does not want to incur the wrath of any more commanders today. We also have T2 finishing up for Furfur. He's going to start throwing down some PD. And in the southern side, there is now double base over here for Legend Lore 2. I'm sure he'll enjoy the boost to economy he just gained, but unfortunately, there are going to be some Mantis getting into his base. Needs to queue up some units, but I don't know if he's realized he's gotten the second base. That could be very unfortunate. A little bit too busy microing that speed and range comm he got earlier. Damage and range finished up for Pezduck. He's going to start trying to put some Pez pressure down on to this northern side. T2 now on the way for CN Noon. T2 has, as I mentioned, came out with Furfur, and he is starting to PD creep, trying to get some damage done onto those two commanders that oh so rudely almost killed his ally. And Megavirus and Issei taking some damage. Legend Lore really getting into the mix down here in the south. Has a lot of units, has that gun comm speed, now on the way for no more work. Got speed done, range on the way. Eero Lone needs to be careful. He does have some units for a cheeky block here soon, but Bazaskia and Legend Lore are bearing down on his position, and it's not looking pretty as he takes him down to 6,500 HP. Those Mantis managing to kill off 2 factories and 2 mexes. Oh no, it's a disaster down here, getting way more value out of those Mantis than he ever deserved to. And of course, Legend Lore 2 showing up with that gun upgrade. Just a little bit blindsided was the northern team, but now no more work. Sitting on his own speed and range upgrade, can start contesting, and he has a lot of units here. He has a lot of production here. He can maybe make something happen. The PD creep over here on the northern side is going very well, and Pezduck gonna start taking a lot of damage from T2 PD if he's not careful. He's trying to overcharge down these triads, but he's just taking so much damage in return down into the yellow with 9,200 HP. And he's just going to be in a rough position if he doesn't fall back, especially with units now eventually showing up. He doesn't have very many units to support him other than from his ally, who is, of course, Megavirus, who is getting sensors currently, has T2. Issei helping with those upgrades, and now is going to go ahead and throw up a volcano. Really worried about those T2 tactical missile launchers that could have been built up by none other than Furfur. Or, I guess at this point, CN Noon, who's going to start trying to show up with his own T2 comm, try and PD creep on 2 fronts, just put a lot of pressure on to Pezduck, who just took some Scorcher fire. Down here in the south, we have a little bit more aggressive gameplay coming out from both sides. Gun upgrades showing up for multiple players. And, of course, Legend Lore going to start getting forced back. A factory going up for Bazaskia, and I don't think that's going to go very well for him. The gun comm of No More Work has something to say about it, and it isn't very nice words, very unpretty words. A bunch of T1 PD being spanned up by Eero Lone, but I think that is an error, Mr. Lone, because you're just spending so much mass here, and Legend Lore's comm can already just walk up and kill that. Sure, it'll take a lot of time, but these T1 PD aren't going to get very much accomplished, and 1 T1 bomber may be all it takes. Meanwhile, we can look back at the base of Nord, who has already gotten T3 production under full construction. Both sides, I believe, have their T3 PGen done, so both sides ready and willing to fight an air battle very, very, very soon. And up here to the north, we're now starting to see PD wars, repair orders coming down onto this Oblivion, who just killed off a triad, and now there is a tactical missile launcher, but unfortunately for him, it's gonna achieve all about nothing. And as I have a chance to breathe, I'm going to go ahead and take a drink and tell you to stay hydrated yourself. Scorchers up in the north dealing with some raiding parties out from Pezduck. Pezduck really not finding much value with his units. Is he going for T2 or T3? He has T2 finished up. He's starting to build up some T2 power, some buzz kills, just get himself in a decent position here. Legend Lore sitting out on the front line, not deciding to get any more upgrades on that comm. Would be interesting to see if he could go for maybe a nano, maybe a region, or a damage in range now going to come online for Bazaskia, and he has the economy for it, so that upgrade is going to be done in about 60 seconds. As long as Legend Lore can keep no more work off of Bazaskia's comm, that should be pretty good. And of course, we wait for more action to happen. Seems as though no more work. Positioning aggressively, has himself some of those oh so important obsidian heavy battle tanks. And those will be dangerous here, but only one. Not too much to be scared about. One shot from each of these kind of just kills off a T1 unit, so that's pretty good. Ilshivas, though, now coming onto the scene, and coming onto the scene with a vengeance. Really want to get some pressure out, does Legend Lore, but needs to be careful and needs to be aware of this southern side. Seems as though raiding keeps on coming out from Air Alone, but that raiding not going to be too successful, especially with bombers over here just being allowed to freely harass. I don't think Nord really wants to commit to an air fight over here to the southern side of the map. It just seems like a bad idea, because if you lose that, you're in a really rough position, and I do think he might be, it's close, but he's probably a little bit behind on air numbers. We now have Pillars showing up to this northern side, but Pillars will somewhat struggle with T1 PD. I don't believe they outrange them. I mean, there'd be a way to check that, but I'm a bit lazy here. Bazaskia about to finish up his good old gun upgrade, and yeah, the Pillars, yeah, pretty sure they don't outrange the T1 PD, so the T1 PD will be able to clean this off. Of course, you also have Scorchers up here, which can do the trick just as well. And we continue to see this game progress, and Parashield's now coming out for Bazaskia. And he is trying to help on this southern side, trying to let Legend Lore just focus here in the middle. Legend Lore, with a possibly just a bad rally point, needs to make sure he's not taking too horrible of fights here. Numbers for numbers, Obsidians win, and there's 4 Obsidians here, and they have an Asylum versus 4 Ilshivas. Those 4 Ilshivas stand no chance. So something to keep an eye on. Legend Lore not currently sitting on an upgrade. Gun damage and range now finished up for Buzz. Tactical missile now on the way for Furfur. Let's see if he can move his comm into a position to get anything done with that. Over here to the east, the units of Pezduck forced to fall back as the rain of fire coming out from Cian Nun's Scorchers just proving to be a little bit much. And the map has been split very, very evenly. We now have Nano Repair on the way for Legend Lore 2. Was wondering when that would come out. He does have a lot of Ilshivas on the field, and No More Work is considerably far away from his army. Needs to be careful here, but Overcharge is a very powerful drug. And it's... Ooh, sorry. Surprise burp. Didn't even feel it coming on. But No More Work needs to be careful here. Doesn't want to be caught out by a bunch of Ilshivas. They have a lot of DPS to deal with him, but each Ilshiva he kills is just a lot of progress towards a rank of vet, and he's gonna get 1 Ilshiva there. He has more to choose from. If he gets another Overcharge off, that could be big. Yeah, it's just a Fervor. But gonna force back Legend Lore's units. Would love to see Regen Aura now coming out for that commander afterwards. Or if he really, he may even have the economy for it. I don't think he has the power economy. If he had a bit more power, I would say just go for that second gun upgrade. It's very powerful. You rarely see it. I mean, for good reason. If you want to just check really quick, we can look at this. It has quite the cost of 11 mass per second and 586 power per second for like 7 minutes if you're building it at T1. And to build it quickly, you do need quite a little bit more. He definitely has the mass for it, though. And we can go ahead and check on, speaking of mass, let's just check on the economies. Nord and Issei, as expected, at the top with basically the same economy numbers. Sometimes it falters, sometimes one's 2 or 3 ahead of the other, but it's just back and forth between these two players at around 120 mass a second. Pezduk very close behind at 114. Lorem Ipsum very close to Pezduk. Sometimes all of these players kind of just trading positions in the top 4. And they're kind of big players. Legend Lore 2 on over 100 mass himself and everybody else below that. So overall economies, Team 2 is indeed ahead despite losing that player early. So Legend Lore is doing a very good job at ecoing up. He is keeping up with 2 players of the enemy side. And in fact surpassing them. And over here to the west, we have a bit of engagement happening with that nano upgrade. Seems as though Legend Lore has been emboldened to move forward. Kills off that asylum that was trying to protect the Oblivion point defense. And over here to the north, the Ilshivas just trying to skirt the range of that commander. Don't want to eat overcharges, but Legend Lore understanding he's going to have to sacrifice some units here. Kills off an Obsidian. And is going to keep firing until the cows come home. Does manage to get these 5 Ilshivas past, and they will be able to kill off the Obsidians. So these Ilshivas gonna pose some form of threat, but unfortunately for them, Air alone does have E-Storage and is starting to walk forward now. And T3 land has been finished up now for no more work, so a Harbinger could do a lot for protecting this, but they need to stop this right now. There's a T2 max, almost T3, 90%. That would be a horrible loss. It depends on how much Legend Lore is paying attention, but if he just right-clicks on that max, he could get a huge value here. He doesn't see it, so he doesn't go for it. But is going to be inside this base, is going to be dealing damage. That max is going to tick over T3 and make itself very tanky. And now Lorem Ipsum showing up with his own gun upgrade. Does he have overcharge? He really needs it in this situation to help out his ally, because it takes a long time to chew through an Ilshiva without overcharge. Doesn't seem like he has it, but they're now going to walk into some T1 PD. And Lorem Ipsum, kind of a mistake of not having overcharge, now does seem to have it. Maybe it was just in a power stall. That little run by out from Legend Lore was very successful. Now Legend Lore brawling with No More Work, but No More Work needs to be a bit careful here. He does have T3 production onto the front line. And a bunch of Corsairs coming out from Issei. He wants to take out No More Work. But I think he's going to have to work a little bit harder at that as the ASF out from Nord come in and quickly, with surgical precision, decapitate that Corsair snipe. And now they're going for an air fight. How's the air fight going to go? I think Nord started off with less numbers, but he definitely got a very good turn in the first turn. But now the turn's starting to turn around a little bit. Reinforcements for both sides showing up. And Nord thinking that maybe he's lost it, starts falling back, but that was a bit of a mistake, and Nord takes a horrible fight. But now Lorem Ipsum showing up with his own ASF, and maybe it's Issei who needs to think twice about this fight. And in the end, I think they're going to end on relatively even ASF numbers for both sides. And Legend Lore managing to kill off that forward T3 factory is quite big. Build up some T3 engineers over here would be a good call. Get up that build power, help yourself get more T3 mexes, and help yourself get more Harbingers out onto the field, because those are kind of the key right now. Era alone making an era mistake. He's making an error. And I think this might just be his death. If Legend Lore wants him dead, he is dead. But it doesn't seem as though Legend Lore is too interested in that. Percival's even could just walk up. He's one tap for a Percival right now. Oh, they must have not realized it, because I think that's just a kill you take if you realize how low he managed to get him. Or maybe not wanting to give that base over to a player like Nord. Although not sure Nord is very big on that. They were just willing to kill off No More Work, so don't know why they wouldn't go for Ear alone. And we haven't looked at it in a while, but this northern side has had some progression. There's more fire basing going on up here. Maybe that's why we're not looking at it. But Titan's now emerging onto the field for FAF, and he is just cleaning up all of this T1 that was built up by Pezduck. But Pezduck himself up to T3 land and now starting to throw out some Percivals. Gonna have to see if Percival production starts off for Fervor. And FAF does go for Percival production. T3 is also done for Seeing None. I think the big disparity here is, nope, we do have T3 as well for Megavirus. Everybody reaching T3 except for, I'm pretty sure, Lone, the only real player not at T3. Air fight going on over here. I think that was just a bunch of interceptors. It was. Or maybe there were bombers in there, but they all go down to the ASF coming out from Issei. One thing I would love to see is Lorem Ipsum just handing his ASF over to Nord. You gotta trust your air player sometimes to just manage all of those air units for you. And that would probably be a good call here. As over here to the west, Legend Lore still making inroads. These two Titans, one sitting on 1 rank of veterancy, one on none, still pushing in, now going to be threatening some T2 mexes, but a Percival will show up to help deal with that. And these units out from Legend Lore getting a lot of value. The Percivals in the middle from Bazaskia also gaining value. And this side of the map kind of faltering for Team 1, who have managed to retake the economic lead so far. Mostly thanks to Nord and Lorem Ipsum. And on the southern team, everybody over 100 mass second on the southern team. No more work in Lone, as expected, or very much so struggling with their economies right now. No more work, doing a little bit better, getting up some T3 mexes, getting up some storage. Really needs to finish up storage on this T3 mex. I know he queued it up earlier, maybe he just forgot, but you're missing out on a little bit more mass a second there that you desperately need. And now with a bunch of stingers coming out from Lorem Ipsum, yet again, I'd give this air power over to your ally and maybe consider getting into the ground game, because I can't imagine. I mean, he is spending all of his mass. I guess the question is on what, and it seems to be an air grid. And we now have, I think that's an artillery shell. Is that a Serenity? That is indeed a Serenity. That's why the shell seems so slow. Man, those Serenity shells take forever. The hang time is ridiculous. And now we have reached a bit of a stalemate. No more pushing going on. Down here in the south, Legend Lore and Buzz have really made a statement for the southern team that they are on the warpath. Completely cleaning out this corner is something that should be scary to the northern team, and they're not necessarily looking all that good on this eastern side either, because they're building a Fat Boy, but that's going to take a little while to finish up. I mean, FAF has 174 mass a second. If he stops everything else, could maybe get it in a couple of minutes. But I don't know if he has a couple minutes worth of time before these T3 armies start pushing in. Now we're seeing a lot of Percivals start getting pumped out of Seeing None's base. And we now have Harbingers and Sprite Strikers over here on the western side, trying to chip away, trying to get some damage from afar onto the forces of Legend Lore and Buzz. I'm not sure how much they can really get done. They really just need... I mean, the Fat Boy would be really nice on this southern side, but it's not going to be sent there. It's going to have to be sent over here to the east. There's a Fat Boy for Lorem Ipsum on the way, has even managed to build up some kennels, help him build it, and he does have a strong economy. It's about as strong as FAF's economy, which will be able to be used. But the southern team just doing a lot better on the ground. I think they're just a little bit weak on the entire upgrading mexes front, because they're not managing to pull away economically despite so much more map control right now. But give it time and it will happen. As Othams and Ilshvas start to push forward, these Harbingers not going to last very long. The Sprite Striker is going to fall back and try and deal with that. Legend Lore has built a chicken. Oh no, this western side is looking dire. That fat boy needs to be done like 5 minutes ago. Oh no, Lorem not even building it all that quickly. No more work. Seemingly going to come over and maybe help build that. Not sure. Anti-nukes out. Have they spotted a nuke launcher? No, they haven't. Monkey Lord now on the way. A fat boy about to finish now for Buzz. The southern team just kind of doing everything a little bit faster, and this northern team really paying for it. The one good bright spot right now is that Seeing None, the lowest rated player in the game, is really saving his team over here in the north, showing up with a lot of Percivals very quickly in order to protect his allies. He's going to be able to protect Furfur as Furfur builds that fat boy. But on the southern side, there is now a chicken, and there is also a fat boy, and very soon a monkey lord. In fact, now all of this experimental pressure going to be on this southern side. Will they be able to make something happen with it? I don't know if one fat boy is going to be enough to hold out against this. Lorem Ipsum's going to need some help. They're going to need to basically win an air fight and deal with this using air. That is their only option. So as that moment draws closer, 104 ASF for Nord versus Issei, who did invest into a Monkey Lord. Now it shows why it may not have been the best idea. He's down to 45 ASF. He is very behind in the air. And that's not to mention that he is the only air player for the southern team. We have Lorem, who has half his ASF count, and he's building a fat boy. He does have a air grid. It really bothers me that there's not a T3 factory right there, by the way. It really should just be built by now. But we're not all perfect. And Lorem doing his best, and so is his ally, Seeing Noon, who is now going to be able to get his allies into a large reclaim field. He's won the land battle over here, and that's going to be big. Chicken now bolstering the front. And I think it's going to do more than bolster. It's going to just knock it over, because there's nothing in the area to really stop it. The fat boy will be done soon, but he's going to need good micro. And I think that right now, Arrow Lone is going to be Arrow Doan, because he is getting himself pummeled over here. His base, but a mere speed bump for a chicken. Although the fat boy completing may give Legend Lore pause. A second fat boy has also completed Furfur's, and he didn't send it to his front. He sent it down here. He wants to try and help deal with the chicken, but I say you trade the chicken for the economic damage and basically removing an enemy player. You've already committed this far. Running away isn't really an option. The fat boy is now well within range of the chicken. He is going to try and run away with it and maybe just throw the units in. You need to get the units in here. You need to get rid of this mass. Getting rid of the power doesn't do anything. There's enough overflow on this northern team to just help him rebuild. They need to get rid of this. And they do have Ilshvas currently doing it, but how long can those Ilshvas survive sustained fat boy fire is the question. And the fighting is getting intense over here. And there's a fat boy completed on the other side of the map now for Pezduck, and that fat boy is going to start dealing with the issue of the army out from Furfur. Would love to see one of these fat boys fall back to the other flank now that you've dealt with the chicken, but how much scouting have they done? How much do they know? They know there's a fat boy over here. There was pings onto this other monkey lord. Maybe they've seen it. The fat boy gonna have to fall back. Some of the units in this group managing to make it all the way towards the base of Nord, and I still kind of feel like it was a mistake. Did manage to get all but 2 T2 mexes for Arrow Lone, so maybe it was worth it. But this fat boy for Furfur now needs to be called up, needs to be sent over to this eastern front. His other fat boy won't finish in time. There's a fat boy on the way for Seeing None, and we got the obesity orphanage here Because we don't ever hear about fat fathers or fat mothers. It's always fat boys. The obesity orphanage is here, and it's gonna do well. And oh my lord! It was at this moment he knew. He fucked up. He's about to black out the skies with his bombers. Oh, maybe not that slow, but it's nasty. He won past a fat boy with T1 bombers. Oh man, that was leaves a bad taste in your mouth. That's got some kick to it. And over here to the south, there's another fat boy. It could meet the exact same fate. An air fight going on, but Issei has no right taking and arguably winning that air fight. North team just doesn't realize how much of an air advantage they have. Lorem Ipsum alone sitting on 59 ASF. Nord sitting on a ridiculous 136. And his opponent is at 123. Sure, Buzz has a few, but that's like 11. They should win that air fight. Have a 60-70 ASF advantage, but I guess it is microed by 2 players, but that could be better. Sometimes 2 heads are better than 1, but there was a GC completed, and I almost completely missed it, but the GC out from Mega Virus, getting mega damage down, and Furfur pretty much all but eliminated from the game, and the Northern team is just taking beatings left and right. Furfur was going for that second Fat Boy, but couldn't finish it in time. A Fat Boy did manage to finish up over here for Seeing None, and that Fat Boy is going to manage to kill off this GC, but not before it gets in. May be able to pick off that power generator, doesn't manage it, but there's still a little bit of an army here. There's a GC coming out from Nord, and Team 1 is putting out fires, and Team 2 is just a happy band of arsonists. Because they just seem to, as I said in the last cast, FAF is not a strategy game. It's a racing game. And Team 2 just cornered better at every turn this race. Now, there's always a chance they mess it up, but still, ridiculous. That chicken out from Legend Lore finally gonna try and walk in here, kills off a lot of the production over here for No More Work, but No More Work still has his mexes. There's a GC showing up. Gonna lose some mexes here. Double Fat Boy is a lot of damage, but he's lost his production. He's lost that T3 HQ. And things are looking bad for the Northern team. They now have the experimental advantage, I would argue. They're sitting on 3 Fat Boys and a GC versus, as far as I can tell, a Fat Boy. Maybe there's another GC or another Fat Boy for the enemy team kicking around. The obesity orphanage right now is just continuing to grow. But nope, there's a Monkey Lord. And that Monkey Lord is interested in walking in through the back lines. Unfortunately, gonna be spotted out. And now with Fat Boy Fire, it's no way it's gonna walk very far into this base. This GC can just probably be sent down to try and challenge the Fat Boy. Fat Boy of Buzz taking a lot of damage there. Another Fat Boy about to finish up for Lorem Ipsum. And with the reclaim, it does seem as though Furfur gonna be able to get back into this game. The power budgets for these players, I would imagine, are not great. They're all surviving off of basically overflow from, well, mainly Nord, who does, in fairness, have 20,000 overflow at any given time, and Lorem is probably providing, another 10,000. So that power economy going well. Huge air fight, almost missed it. Was Lorem involved? If he was, he's already lost everything. And the air fight is seemingly going to go to the way of Issei and Buzz. The ASF out from Lorem Ipsum. Now he hands them over to Nord, but Nord was fighting 2 versus 1. Nord now going to be sitting on, he still has nearly 200 ASF, But Issei at 100, so he has the air advantage, but he never takes the fight when he just has it. Maybe worried about Sam's or Mobile AA, but I don't think that's going to matter too much when you have such an overwhelming numbers advantage. But also he has to maybe be considering the fact that Cyber and ASF can cloak. A very neat feature that they have. And now, Fat Boys showing up on the front line. 2 of them out from Lorem Ipsum. He's willing to sacrifice one if it means this position is won. But he's keeping the Fat Boys close enough together that they can use each other's shields. But that's a lot of T2 artillery to have to chew through. They're trying to do it, but despite being Fat Boys, they don't eat very quick. They're very sloppy about it. They take their time. Enemy Fat Boy over here for Buzz. He's gonna start firing back, and Lorem deciding he has to fall back, needs to be wary of these parting shots. A parting gift out from one of these artillery could kill off one of those Fat Boys. And over here, third Fat Boy on the way for Lorem. The Fat Boy over here for Furfur, sitting on 2 ranks of veterans. The Fat Boy for CN Noon, doing all right for itself. GC also gonna head out to this Eastern Front. Lorem has basically been told, you are the Western Front, deal with it. And honestly, 3 Fat Boys is a good answer to deal with a land front. Starting to see mass fabs built up by Issei. Megalith finished up for Issei. A GC is now done over here for Megavirus. And it is going to start getting some pain handed to it by a Fat Boy. Gonna have to fall back there. You need Fat Boys to fight Fat Boys, or you need a stupid amount of T2 artillery. And now Lorem Ipsum sitting on 3 Fat Boys. Is he going to go for 4? Make it 5. Why not 20 at this point? I mean, you get enough of them, you just kind of attack move and win the game. In fact, if one player was controlling all 5 of these Fat Boys and just sent them down one front, that would probably be enough to end it right now. The experimental game heavily in favor of Northern Team now. With only that one Fat Boy kicking around, you have to be a little bit worried about this Southern Team. Fat Boys kind of just deal with all of the other experimentals very, very well. 2 GCs for these Fat Boys in the north. That's a lot of meat shield you got there. And the GCs in the north have to worry about these GCs down to the south, but if there's a fight to be picked here, 4 experimentals beats 2 every day of the week. 4 experimentals generally beats 3 as well. And I don't think this Megalith is going to change this equation too much. As long as Cian Nun and Furfur are on top of the micro, there should be no issue here. And the GCs, they're trying to inch their way close enough. These Fat Boys just need a full retreat from the GCs. The GCs out from Nord gonna push in. On the other side, a chicken getting absolutely brutalized by triple Fat Boy. Gonna try and walk in. I don't think it's gonna get too far. There's also a Czar just kicking around for Nord. Nord, yet again, should probably just win any air fight. Oh, well over 200 ASF now versus somebody who I don't even think has... he has over 200, but he still is at a disadvantage here. And if this air fight happens, if he goes for the Czar, this is almost assuredly a win. As long as Nord micros his ASF, what are you doing? Get them involved. Get into this fight. You have the numbers. Oh, the turn's just not going very well, but I think Issei is going to get wiped here, especially with Lorem Ipsum sending his cohort of ASF, and now the skies belong to the Northern Team. A GC managed to sneak its way in over here to the north. Actually, no, this is the GC that hunted down the 2 Fat Boys, Furfur and Cian Nun losing their Fat Boys. And the 2 GCs out from Nord making their way in, now going to be threatening T3 mixes. Ooh boy, that is a feast and a half. The GC's doing a bit of a fist bump, a chest bump there. A chest bump of joy. Fat Boy out now for Eero Lone. not going to be in the best of spirits. This reclaim field firmly going to be in the hands of the northern team, and that should be scary for the southern team. One of the Fat Boys finally going down for Lorem, but the issue is that's going to be replaced in about 20 seconds. There's a lot of T2 artillery going up. Buzz is worried about the Fat Boy spam. Over here in the middle, there's a megalith out for Issei, just trying to walk through, or I think it was built by Issei and handed over to Legend Lore. Is this megalith just gonna die in this passage? Oh, the pathfinding is horrible. In come the stingers, in come the Fat Boy fire, and down goes this megalith almost assuredly. More T1 bombers gonna come out, and the air game is looking desperate for the southern team. 2 GCs up here just chilling. They both have 2 veterancy, so they could realistically, in a realistic amount of time, you know, get back up to full HP. Does he have a 3rd GC anywhere? He's still building any? No, he's just decided 2 isn't up. Nope, never mind. Here's a 3rd one. In fact, that might be the 4th one. I don't know if there's another GC kicking around. There could be. And more Fat Boys out of Lorem Ipsum. He likes his boys thick and chunky. A Fat Boy over here for Pezduck, trying to do its best to just do what it can. Eero lone, unfortunately, in a very sad situation. Can't really afford anything. Does have a T3 mechs, but isn't getting back in this game anytime soon. Built mass storage around a T1 air factory. I'd love to know the reasoning behind that. Chicken was firing at something. I don't know where that chicken was. Did it just die over here? No. I heard chicken fire. Megalith over here to the east getting a lot of asylum assistance. A Fat Boy about to finish up for CN Noon. That Megalith going to be a problem, but then again, 2 GCs seems to beat a Megalith in my experience, even with that much assistance and shielding. And 3 Fat Boys with parashields and flak move forward. They have quite the task ahead of them. That is a lot of T2 artillery to deal with. Is going to pick off 2, and now going to start falling back. Some of the shields starting to falter. Chicken, under sustained Fat Boy fire, will have struggles, but should be able to walk its way in and maybe kill off 1 or 2 of the Fat Boys. Lorem Ipsum is replacing them about as quickly as he's losing them. Chicken being microed as best it can by Legend Lore, but the issue is he can't do anything else. If he stops microing, it dies, or if he just straight walks away, it dies. He has to even micro while he's running away. And Megalith with Asylums and Fat Boy in tow. Trying to push forward, trying to help out, but it's going to be a hard ask with a Fat Boy and 2 GCs on this front. It's a difficult position to push. But 2 Fat Boys out from Pezduck could be monumental here. Duke now on the way for Pezduck, no longer going to build Fat Boys. And speaking of T3 artillery, we already have one done. It's over here for Furfur. He's just decided to build a Duke up here, and now he's getting it shielded and getting up power generators for it. And that's a lot of T1 bombers. We might see another 1 pass of a Fat Boy over here. And the air game is just monumentally still in the favor of Nord. It's gonna be hard to get that back without a fight over a lot of sands. Overall economies, Team 2 leading by 300 mass a second, but it doesn't necessarily feel like they're in a great position. I mean, they're mathematically and map control wise in a great position, but they keep making large reclaim fields on the other side of the map. And Team 1 is really using it. Furfur has almost reclaimed, like, he's getting close to I've reclaimed a Maver levels of reclaim. But Issei is already over 600 mass a second, and Nord, his counter, actually may be over 800. Yeah, it's fluctuating. Yeah, he has a lot of mass, and it's much more than Nord, basically double. Which means he should just be able to outproduce on air, but he's not going for expanded air grid. He is getting artilleried right now, which doesn't feel good. Has a lot of strat bombers just sitting around. Can't do much with strat bombers if you have no air control. There are revenants, so you can cloak them. But as soon as the northern team knows of their existence and knows what they are, they're going to be hyper vigilant. FB, that boy. And over here to the east, both Fat Boys on low HP. We can assume that's due to all those T1 bombers we saw earlier. And now we have Rambo SCUs trying to kill megaliths. That's quite the call. Where are the GCs from earlier? Are they both dead? It would appear so. Nope, they're still kicking around, still healing up. This GC over here maybe has 3 GCs, in fact, over here now. And 4 Fat Boys for Lorem. Oh, might be losing one. He's built bubble SCUs to help protect the Fat Boys. This man has decided on his strategy, and his strategy is throwing obesity at the enemy. And you know what? I can't say it's a bad one. Chicken walks in, just straight up gets gunned down. Some of those Rambo SCUs have gone down. In fact, all of them have. But one of the megaliths have gone down. The Fat Boys are pushing forward. That's a lot of Percivals. And behind this, there's 3 GCs. A really big brain play would be send the GCs down this way and use them to clear out all of this artillery. And you just win. I'm pretty sure if this play is noticed. It's a hard play to notice, but you should realize that up here that this fight, I mean, you could also probably just win this fight if you throw the 3 GCs at it, like just run it at them. But why use 2 Fat Boys in a large Percival army when you can use 4 Fat Boys and a bunch of Bubble Boys? Come on. Come on, use your head. Use your head. This is much more meme. And meme good. You now have Restorers coming along with these Fat Boys. Where are all of those Strat Bombers? I guess they were used for something. Whatever it was wasn't that significant, was it? Oh! He might be going for it. He has 4 GCs. Oh! He might be going for it. Yeah, seems as though the Strat Bombers were lost somewhere. Is there anywhere where there's just like a bunch of 1,000 wrecks? Were they used over here? Really? These all those Strat Bombers right here. Where did the Strat Bombers die? It's hard to tell. Like, with old Reclaim, maybe. The old way Reclaim worked, I could maybe figure it out. But with this new one, it's... Oh no, they died on the ground. Did they get hit by artillery? Oh, that'd be painful. And now, with those Duke shells raining down, I don't think it's really going to break the base of Issei. He's in a decent position, but another Duke on the way. Novak's now on the way for CN None. And the GCs are going for it. If they can get in here, they're going to take a lot of damage. In fact, I kind of expect at least 3 of them to die. Because there's a Megalith and there's a Fat Boy. These Bubble Boys are reclaiming a Megalith to help build another Fat Boy. There's currently 5 on the field. Is Lorem going to go for more than 5? It's the question. Also, this is a lot of bombers. In fact, enough that if I press shift, it lags the game. And here we go. Epic battles happening here. GC is going to come in. One goes down right there and immediately. All of the bombers were shift G'd on top of a ton of these artillery. And you just see all those bombs coming in on the background. The The Megalith might be able to pick up a second GC if it's lucky, but it's facing a lot of consistent DPS right now. And it's not going to be able to get it. Rank of Veterancy comes in for that GC off that kill. The other Fat Boy falling back might be able to pick up a kill onto that GC if it's lucky, but that's still 5,000 HP. Takes a little while to go through. Revenant's coming in for Legend Lord, trying to get some damage done that way. Hubathom on the way for Legend Lord. That's not going to be too useful, especially considering it's probably going to die very soon. A couple of Bubble Boys going down, but these 4 forward Fat Boys going to be able to push forward and get their damage done. Meanwhile, over on the northern flank, triple Fat Boys pushing in, and what happened to the Fat Boys out from... Oh, quadruple Fat Boy coming in. Wow! Both flanks for the southern team are collapsing. It seems as though Pez has just lost all of his Fat Boys. I don't know where he lost them, because he had 2, maybe 3 kicking around somewhere. But this southern side is where we need to be looking most. Fat Boys on the north still have a chance of being dealt with, but I want to see how this is dealt with. GC is pushing in. Seems as though he's most interested in killing off all these PD and keeping his other GCs alive. In fact, wait, where are the other GCs? Doesn't seem to be any. 1 dead there, 1 dead there. We had 4 in total. So I guess one of them died over here. Or no, he sent one down to the south to flank around. This GC is going to go down momentarily. 26,000 HP. But this one down here to the south is going to be able to kill off the rest of Legend Lore's T3 mexes. I guess these ones didn't die, but the Fat Boys slowly approaching. They still have Bubble Boys to help out. A 5th Fat Boy in case any of these go down. And a Megalith has been finished up over here for Issei. Issei has finished a 2nd Megalith as well. Needs to be careful though. The shielding is starting to falter a little bit. His own Disruptor has taken some damage. His shields are getting upgraded as we speak. Sam's now going up. Restorers pushing forward. Fat Boys on the north. There's 5 Fat Boys, both seeing none. And Lorem Ipsum knew what they were about this game, and it was Fat Boys. The fighting here for Issei is going to be difficult. A Novax now coming in, going to add more shielding woes for Issei to deal with. The argument here for the southern team, it's not necessarily over, but it's close. There's maybe a couple nails left to be put into that coffin. But the argument for Issei at the moment is if he can hold this off, that's a lot of reclaim, and he can maybe just spam out a couple of Scathis. But that's a big if. This GC down here, down to half HP off of those Strat Bombers. And now the Fat Boys push in. There's a 2 Megalith and a Monkey Lord that are going to be bearing down on this position here soon. Issei has to hope he catches Lorem sleeping. Hope he can just walk onto the Fat Boys. But there's 5 of them. Strat Bombers coming in, mostly gonna land on this Fat Boy, but just takes out its shield, doesn't really do any HP damage. 5 ranks of veterancy. 3, 5, 3. These Fat Boys have been through it all together. Let's keep the HP bars on for this fight. And the Fat Boys seemingly just gonna hold their ground. The Bubble Boy's gonna soak a lot of damage. Some of these Fat Boys need to start backing up, and probably soon. He's building an Omni on the front line. Monkey Lord goes down. Restorer's now helping. Legend Lore went down, but this is the most important fight in the game right now, so I can't look away. And One of the Fat Boys goes down, a second one under threat of dying, but a Megalith goes down just in time. Those ranks of veterancy really coming up clutch here. And all of the experimentals are now down. Buzzazkia trying to get in with the commander, but unfortunately all he's gonna find is a face full of HE. And he's down. In come all the bombers. Pezduck has built an experimental. The 5 Fat Boys of the North didn't quite fare as well. They weren't able to push in. But that's okay. When you have 4 Fat Boys bearing down on the last real base of the enemy, the last massive stronghold, you can kind of just call it a game. Control K, I believe, coming out there from Issei. And I would like to thank you all for watching. You've been beautiful. This game was quite epic, had some swings. I hope to see you in the next replay I cast. Consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already. And go down and leave me a comment telling me how your day was. This is Willow. Oh, no, thank you to the channel members, Patreons, and people leaving super thanks. It really supports me a lot. It really helps me out. So if you want to help out the channel in that way and help me out financially, you can always do so through the super thanks, the Patreon, and the channel membership. They all have their different benefits. Well, except for really super thanks. Doesn't really get any benefits. That's just generosity, which I appreciate. But you can join the channel membership as long as you're at the many dualities tier or higher. You gain... Oh, wow. Aerolone went for a Telemazer. That's a fun way to end the game. Pezduck and Aerolone are going to die at the same exact time. Oh, no! Pezduck's shield popped on and protected him from the explosion damage. But Pezduck Control K's apparently. And yeah, the channel memberships, as long as you're a mini duality or higher, you get access to these videos early. And if you're a Patreon, you get your name at the end of the videos. You all are beautiful. This is Willow, signing off.
But if I lay down and I play dead and I